How's it going, guys, and welcome back to the LAIR. And today I have another competitive, I would say, best of one deck, historic. I call this one Tempered Forge. It's an artifact-based deck, aggro deck, featuring tempered steel from the latest historic Anthology 3 collection. So anyways, let's get into it. On our 0 drop, we have 4 copies of Ornithopter. For 0, he's a 0/2 flying artifact creature. I have, on the 1 drop slot, I have 4 copies of Gingerbrute for 1 colorless. He's a 1/1 haste. 1, we can give him Gingerbrute, can't be blocked this turn, and then we can pay 2 and tap and sacrifice Gingerbrute, and we gain 3 life. And then I have 4 copies of God's Willing for 1 plains. It's an instant. Target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice until the end of turn. Scry 1. On the 2 drops, I have 4 copies of Steel Overseer for 2 colorless. He's a 1/1, and we tap, put a 1/1 counter on each artifact creature you control. I have 4 copies of Voltaic Servant for 2 colorless. He's a 1/3, and at the beginning of your end step, untap target artifact. I have 4 copies of All That Glitters for 1 colorless, 1 plains. It's an enchantment aura. Enchant creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and enchantment you control. On to the 3 drops, I have 4 copies of Mechagodzilla the Weapon for 3 colorless. He's a 3/3, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, choose a counter he does not have already between a +1/+1 counter, flying, first strike, death touch, hexproof, lifelink, menace, reach, trample, vigilance, and put that kind of counter on Crystalline Giant. And 4 copies of Tempered Steel for 1 colorless and 2 plains. It's an enchantment, and then artifact creatures you control get +2/+2. And on to the 4 drops, I have 4 copies of Arcanist for 4 plains in this instance. So he's going to be a 3/3 flying. When Arcanist enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact or an enchantment card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And finally, 2 copies of Mystic Forge for 4 colorless. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast artifact spells and colorless spells from the top of your library, and then we can tap and pay 1 life and exile the top card of your library. So yeah, that's the idea, is just to flood the board with a bunch of cheap artifact creatures, and then hopefully we'll get a Steel Overseer out on the board, and hopefully a Voltaic Servant, so that way we can get a double +1/+1 counter on all of our creatures each round, and then Mechagodzilla comes in to round out the top end creatures. It gives us a little bit of versatility, maybe some lifelink. If we can get a hexproof counter on him, that's great. Obviously this deck does not do good against board wipes, but we're trying to kill the enemy before they can do it. The other star of the show obviously is Tempered Steel. This card is retarded in this deck. It's stackable, it's not a legendary, so we can turn 4, let's say we have, or I'm sorry, turn 5 or 6, we have maybe 1 or 2 Tempered Steel down, and then late game we drop an Ornithopter tapped out, and he's like a 4/6 or something, or 4/8. It's pretty good. Arcanist helps us find our cards if we get picked off. Also can help us find our Tempered Steel or our Mystic Forge, and then also late in the late game, if we have a couple Tempered Steels down, he comes out as a pretty big boy for 4, and also gives us that dive-in effect. And then All That Glitters is here to end the game, or we could push for early aggro if I don't think the opponent has some way of removing the creature. But preferably we would have a God's Willing in hand. This is the first rendition of this deck. I haven't really tested it out much on the ladder, but we'll go ahead and hop into it. Obviously, you could make many different adjustments to this deck. You could run Karn, the Great Creator, and then have like a sideboard type deal. But I'm going for mainly the aggro. Also, depending on how it goes for us the first couple games, I could swap out a God's Willing or 2 for maybe 2, what is it, the instant for 3 Unbreakable Formations. So, like I said, this is the first rendition of this deck. But let's go ahead and get into the land base. I'm running 19 plains, 1 Field of Ruin, 1 Karn's Bastion, and 1 Labyrinth of Skophos. We have a 2.1 converted mana cost running 24 creatures, 26 artifacts, 8 enchantments, and 22 lands. So let's hop into some games. Let's see how we do. As always, if you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe to the channel. It's free to you and helps me out so much. Also, feel free to drop me a comment on misplays, strategy, deck ideas. I read the comments daily. Where is it? It always puts the historic at the bottom. And also, if you have any friends or family that are interested in Magic, please share the channel with them. And thanks for watching. And Mint, if you're watching this today, my bad, man. I had my notifications turned off when I was streaming earlier. I didn't notice you had written me a message. But yeah, that's cool to hear, man. Definitely let me know when you get that rolling. All right, so we got a first opening hand. We have a 2-lander here. I have an Ornithopter, I have a God's Willing, I have an All That Glitters, I have a Voltaic Servant. I think we keep this just because of the Mystic Forge. Hopefully we don't get Magic the Gathering. Pick up another Voltaic, that's nice. Scalden Trunk. Okay. Karn's Bastion, that's nice. So here I just played the Voltaic, right? Not really much else we can do there. I always wondered why it always asks to untap an artifact if I don't have any tapped artifacts, right? Kind of weird. Uh-oh.
There's something truly spectacular.
So I'm going to play Steel Overseer here. We'll leave up the God's Willing. We will attack Kiora.
You're making me crabby.
Okay, Euro. So here, what do? I do Voltaic, all that glitters on this guy. We will activate the Steel Overseer, and he quits. Alright, cool. So there you're going to see an example of, with the Steel Overseer, I can tap him, put a 1/1 counter on everything, and then at the end step, I untap him. If I'm playing some type of a burn or control deck, I will leave open leave open the tap until the end of my opponent's turn, because that way, if he tries to kill off the Steel Overseer first, and then I activate the ability, because you can activate it at instant speed. But it is a tapped ability, so you do have to wait one turn once he drops to make that work. All right. So our opening hand, I've got a 2-lander here, I've got some Gingerbrutes, I've got some All That Glitters, got a Voltaic, we'll keep it. Lead off with the Gingerbrute. Attack. So let's go in first. Okay, we'll play another Gingerbrute. So this is Umori enchantments, huh? Interesting. Put the Voltaic here. Nice. Ornithopter, nice. Fine. We're taking 2, we're doing 6. And we'll untap the Voltaic. I think the move here, if he's all enchantments, is to not play all the glitters at once. You can't board wipe this, so that's good. Still also experimenting with the mana base. I mean, they usually say if you can try to have whatever the converted mana cost is, if you take the decimal point around to the right, you know, that's how many lands you want to run in a 60 card deck. So I'm 1 over, I'm at 22 lands here. And I have a 2.1 converted mana cost, so you'd think it'd be enough, but it's just that one extra land that can really help push. So 4. Now we gotta just start going in with 1, which kind of sucks. So it's only taking 2 damage here. We will untap Ornithopter. I'm sure we have something coming for our Steel Overseer. Mori. Enchantments. Okay. Enchantress Presence. Alright, well, I think we may have just won here. So here's what I do. I put this on here, and I do this. I do this. Got him! Explosive. Explosive. See, we don't really need much land in this deck to be effective, but you know, we got lucky there. I thought he was going to exile something. Right, let's hop into another one here. Unraveler of Secrets. Alright. So I got a 3-lander here. I have 2 Ornithopters, a Gingerbrute, and a Tempered Steel, but I don't have that extra mana. Fuck. Oh. I'm gonna mulligan this. I want at least 2 white sources. Alright, this is a little bit better. Kind of slow. We'll keep this, and I'll drop the Mystic Forge. Play the Ornithopter. Keep up the God's Willing. Hopefully my opponent doesn't have removal and plays a creature instead, because then I'll drop Tempered Steel. If he removes the Ornithopter, then I'll probably play Mecha Godzilla. Cool. Well then, we will definitely be dropping this Tempered Steel. I could kill his Godless Shrine. Then he would probably just search for a swamp, so I don't know if that's very good. The cool thing is here I can Mecha Godzilla and then leave open a God's Willing. Dire Tactics, I will say protection from... Guess it doesn't matter. White. Don't need another land. And put all that glitters on him. So now the Mecha Godzilla is hexproof, so he needs to board wipe. And I always forget in Historic we have Settle the Wreckage. I love that card. Opponent is tapped out though, so he can't give his Seraph Death Touch, and we just draw a Tempered Steel right off the top. And that's all she wrote. Does get his 2 Afterlives. Now we could see a board wipe. That would suck. Or not. Got him! Like I said, very, very explosive deck here. That's why I was like, do I even really need to worry about... I'm trying to kill the person by turn 4, you know, if possible. Alright, cool, we got some packs. Let's go ahead and open those up. Throne of Eldraine. Some gems. Ikoria. Whirlwind of Thought, alright, now I got 4. Cool. Gems are always welcome, right? Alright, so we've got a 2-lander here, we've got a Tempered Steel in hand, we've got an Ornithopter, we'll keep this. Yes. Hold up our God's Willing here. Fury 33. How's it going? Alright. I'm gonna wait to play the All That Glitters. Because if I play it, then obviously I can't protect it from removal. But depending on what my opponent... Xerox Fen Lurker, that sucks. Alright. Well... I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of the... God's Willing here. So we do pick up a Tempered Steel, which is nice. I'm gonna get that down right now. If he has another Yurok, then I'll just give him a Mechanist, Mecha Godzilla. Okay, Heartless Axe. Let's see how many Heartless Axe he has in his hand. Nice. Let's see if we can trick him into blocking with the Phyrexian. Yes. It shouldn't activate his ability because... Or maybe it will. I thought that giving it first strike... Oh, that means it doesn't do damage to me. Gotcha. Duh. That was my bad. Sorry, guys. Zaint. Alright. So we've got a 2-lander here, I've got a Steel Overseer, I've got a Tempered. This kind of seems a little slow, and then if the opponent's on removal, then we're just going to get picked right off. I hate giving up this hand, but we're not really running enough lands to justify keeping this. Okay, this looks much better. We'll just drop the Mystic Forge here. Mono red. I guess we got lucky. We played a couple games without running into some mono red, right? And the trick with mono red, besides obviously surviving, is trying to build a board against them. But if this is the historic version, it's going to be really hard to. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get something out of his hand, and we'll just give it protection from red this turn. That way I can also block. Another Ornithopter, sure. I'm going to just keep that because I know that he has more removal, and he'll probably pick this off anyways. So I want to try and get all the removal out of his hand. Yeah. That's my reasoning right now, my thinking. Okay, he's going to risk factor. I think I'll take 4, yeah. I don't want him drawing any cards. Yeah, just block you and take 2. Okay, now we got a Tempered Steel, so I think we'll leave 1 for blocking. Gotta start doing some damage here. Another risk factor. So I take 4. 4. I have to let him draw this time, unfortunately. Like I said, any burn that's going to my creatures is better than going to my face. Interesting. Okay. Fair enough, fair enough. So we do get a Voltaic down. I'm going to play that. Attack. Untap. It's a thick boy, 5. Like I said, just trying to get. Alright. Smaller. Okay. And Fire Breath. Okay. I'm gonna get a mecha here. Be beautiful to pick up a hexproof. Death Touch is nice too. We'll just go in. Ornithopter. Untap. Okay, he's respecting again. Decline. Okay. 3, 5. Light up the stage. Okay. this is over. The deck is so full of shit. Do 15 damage in 1 turn with 2 mana. So from the looks of it, I think I need to add at least 1 more land. Maybe cut. Maybe cut a Mystic Forge and add 1 more land. Because I'm just really, there's games where I could just be running out and I just can't see. Okay, so we got 1, 2. This looks beautiful. Surely by turn 2 or 3 we'll draw at least 1 land. Let's keep this. So this turn we can Ornithopter. And Gingerbrute. No attacks. Ooh, mono blue. I'm gonna play Steel Overseer here, and we'll have no attacks. Next turn I'll play my Voltaic. C dash. Okay, cool. So now if he wants to bounce it, I'll just tap him down and put more counters on my creatures. Cool. Don't care about that. You're gonna have a problem here. I think he might be dead. Going for the kill here. Got him. Always feels good. That's my second least favorite deck in Historic. Mono blue tempo. Fuck that deck. Alright, I've got 1 more for you guys today. Sauron. Nice. Rocking the Jace. Alright, we finally got a 3-lander here. God's Willing, Steel Overseer, Voltaic, and a Tempered Steel. I think we will keep this. Start off with Plains. Mono red. Okay. Unfortunately, I have to wait a turn because I don't want him to burn my fate or burn. Oh, it's a Cavalcade deck. So let's do Steel Overseer. Yeah. Does he not have burn? So we'll God's Willing here. We'll name red. Another God's Willing is nice. Almost blocked that. Thinking, I'm like, yeah, he has protection from red, not both. All right. No need to rush this. Let's wait and see what he does. If he wants to tap down both of his lands, so to make his Gingerbrutes unblockable. There's a Chandra's. Okay, that's dangerous. My turn. Okay, cool. So here I play Voltaic. Put all that glitters on the Voltaic Servant. Activate the ability. We will untap Overseer. See if the opponent wants to come in. Another Cavalcade. Okay. All. Would say good game, but it's not. Alright. Well, so you see the deck does pretty good against everything except for mono red and mono red variations. But yeah, I'll be posting the deck list in the description. And to lead off, I just wanted to say thanks so much for watching, guys. Feel free to drop me a comment, talk about misplay, strategy, deck ideas. If you have any friends or family that are interested in Magic, share the channel with them. And thanks for watching. You guys have a good day.